Greetings, duelists, and welcome to another video. Today, this video is going to be for hire. Get ready for those puns because you're gonna hear them throughout this video in tandem. So, these monsters for hire debuted in Dark Saviors in 2018. That is the set that came out alongside Sky Strikers, as well as the Vampire Support. It's very obvious that this archetype got overshadowed by Sky Strikers by a large margin. This did not get to the level of Sky Striker. This was not defined for the TOS format. However, in that exact same year, a little bit before Dark Saviors, this archetype debuted in Duel Links. And in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, this deck was a menace. This deck was pretty much tier 0 for a couple of months. Enough to the point where they even had to structurize a new form of battle list in order to check this deck, as well as other strategies that came before it. Shout out to Gunsblazing, amazing channel for Duel Links content. Going back to Friars. So, For Hire is an archetype that composes of a lot of different monsters. I'm not even gonna count the amount of monsters that they have. I will say that these monsters have two different categories of effects. You have the For Hire monsters that special other For Hires, and then you have the For Hire monsters that discard other monsters for hire. And then you have the For Hire monsters that protect the monsters for hire. And then you have like their field spell, which is basically like a pseudo consistency card. It's a little bit too slow for what it was back then. And then you have an arsenal of spell traps. We will talk about them. But let's summarize the archetype real quick before getting into the new cards and talking about the strategy overall. So as I mentioned beforehand, all these monsters for hire, they are like on the bottom of the screen. All these share the same first effect. You can special summon a monster for hire from your hand with every one of them. They're basically marauding captains. However, all these monsters for hire get an effect if they're summoned alongside another monster for hire. Philo can reborn a monster for hire. Dihn-Ka can pop a face-up card. Recon can pop a set card. Beat can add a monster for hire. Helmer discards a card for hire to draw a card. Seal grabs a for hire from your graveyard for hire. And Bravo boosts 500s to every monster for hire. Pretty simple. You also have a lot of different levels, like Philo is level 1, Dihn-Ka and Recon are level 2, Beat is level 3, Helmer is level 4, well, Helmer is also level 3, and then you have Seal and Bravo that are level 4. You also have a lot of different attributes. A lot of different attributes and a lot of different types. Like you have a Wind, Wing Beast, Harpy's Firestorm. You also have a Wind Beast, that's level 2, Obedience Schooled. You also have a level 3 Warrior, Rhoda. You also have a level 3 Water Aqua, Fear Elements. You also have Beast Warrior, Fire Formation Tenki. You also have like Fire Reptile. I don't know where this fits in with. Maybe Mitsurugi. I don't know. You also have the higher monsters. The higher level monsters for hire. So this is Sagita. This protects you from targeting and also burns your opponent. Dinah, upon special summon, can banish cards in the graveyard up to the monsters for hire that you have. Rex is a very special case. Rex is very different from every other for hire here. Rex can add you a spell or trap upon summon, and during the main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a monster for hire if you control another monster for hire. You also have Wiz, which is a spell or trap negate by discarding a card for hire. And you have Rafale, that is a monster negate if you discard a card for hire. Pretty cool. You also have generic link monsters. Like, I don't think I need to explain what Donner is. This card has been played in a lot of strategies throughout time, mainly as a Baguska out, but for those who don't know, this also has the Reborn effect for 2 monsters for hire. And the way this card is worded, you special summon 1 monster for hire, and then you summon another monster for hire. Which means whichever second for hire that you summon gets its effect by summoning alongside another monster for hire. Fogo is another interesting one. So this can special summon another monster for hire from your deck, and this also can draw you cards if you pop a card from your opponent and you control a monster for hire. It's kind of obvious that you want to pair this card alongside Recon or Dampa. We will talk about another future strategy that also abused this card in a way that it was not intended, but it kind of worked out. It almost won a YCS. And I think it almost, like, it also top 16 like German nationals. Shout out to Joshua Smith. Yeah. Now that you get a gist of all the monsters and you figure out what the monsters are all about, let's look at the spell and traps. So you have Training for Hire, which basically replaces a monster for hire for another monster for hire if they're destroyed. You have Rookie for Hire, which essentially is a version of Transmodify or Downbeat for hire. You have Mayhem for Hire, which is basically a Reborn spell for hire, so another really good extended card. And every other card that I'm about to mention now, before we get caught up, is going to be new cards. Before we talk about the new cards and the reason I'm making this video, let's talk about another thing that happened for hire. In April of 2023, German player Dihn-Ka-Bui from Raid and Trade made this deck for hire and topped the YCS in London for hire. This is a runic variant of the deck, which essentially goes back to what I was talking about with Fogo. With runic cards being able to destroy your opponent's card, Fogo just had the effect of just drawing like up to 3 cards. And drawing a lot of cards is essential for runic because it means that you just draw into more runic interruptions alongside your actual for hire interruptions. Not to mention, this strategy also played sprite monsters because the best starter in the deck, which was Rex, is a level 2 monster. And you also had other level 2 monsters like Dompa and Recon. They just worked alongside the sprite monsters. This strategy was really good. It was really strong back in its day. It was strong enough that even Joshua Smith topped nationals with it in the same year. Now, let's go back here. Now we're caught up with for hire and everything you need to know for hire before Burst Protocol. Now we're going to talk about new cards that are debuting for hire in Burst Protocol. The first card we're going to talk about is called Pandora, the Fearsome Flying Fortress, which is a retrain of the old Pandora, the Flying Fortress card. If you go over here, this card is always treated as a card for hire, which is something that Pandora didn't have before, which is very important. It means that it is searchable by Rex. The other effect of Pandora is during your main phase, you can add a monster for hire from your deck to your hand, then discard a card. If a face-up monster for hire your control is destroyed by your opponent's card effect, you can special summon a monster for hire from your deck. This card pretty much eclipses the other Fandora. There's no real reason to play this Fandora anymore unless you want to use the nuke effect for your opponent's cards. And there's no reason to play Training for Hire for all your training needs as well, because Fandora just does everything. That's the new Fandora, rather. A really good consistency card and really good replacement card for your opponent. Like, a lot of common disruptions your opponent will have are going to be common. Destruction. We're looking at Vanquish Soul, and we're looking at Yummy, for example. So yeah, really good card. This actually helps with the consistency of the deck for higher. So let's look at other spell cards. This is Storm for hire, and Storm for hire reads: if you control no monsters, you can special summon one level 4 or lower monster for hire from your deck. If your opponent controls 2 or more monsters, you can summon one other for hire monster for hire. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except monsters for hire. If your monster for hire will discard a card to activate its effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead of discarding one of those cards for hire. You can only use each effect once per turn. This card's incredible. Another consistency card, like between Storm, Fandora, and Rex. And let's not forget, Rex is a dinosaur, so you can play Fossil Dig like it was used to be played in the Runic variant back then. There is so much consistency in this deck. There's hardly any way for you to brick with these monsters for hire. Really good card. The archetype lock only happens if you summon the second monster for hire. And it does also only happens if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters. So you really don't have to worry about this lock if you want to splash it with other archetypes. For example, Runic. And there is one other archetype that we'll talk about later on that you can use with Storm for hire. Really good card. And the last card is Secret Technique for hire. Target cards face up on the field up to the number of monsters for hire you control with different names, destroy them. Or if you control a level 8 or higher and or a link 3 or higher monster for hire, you can banish them instead. If a level 8 or higher or a link 3 or higher monsters for hire is special summon to your field while this card is in your graveyard, you can add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Technique for hire once per turn. Not a bad card. It's basically disruption. Getting the banish effect of this card is not that hard. Like, the way this deck works, you should be getting to Rafale or Folgo real quickly in this deck, which makes Secret Technique for hire very easy to use as a disruption. At least the banish effect of it. Now, the video would end here if there were no more extra monsters for hire, right? Well, we have another one. This is Rex Gale for hire, which is pretty much an upgraded version of Rex Freight for hire. You can reveal this card in your hand, special summon one other monster in your hand, except Gale, then special summon this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. If a card is added from the deck to your hand by a non-for-hire card's effect, and it's to your opponent's hand, rather, and you control another monster for hire, you can draw one card. This is super easy to do. In the OCG, Maxi is gonna trigger this card. In the TCG, Mo Charmings is gonna trigger this card. Especially Perulia, because if you haven't noticed, Perulia is really strong against this deck. Yeah, overall a really good card. Another thing I want to mention, this card is searchable by Fossil Dig because it's level 5, and this being level 5 also means Yep, you can use this card alongside Joko. Are we tired of like this K9 synergy that we randomly get on archetypes? I'm looking at Holy Suit, for example. Yeah, just look what happened with Vanquish Soul. Really good card. Like, I have no complaints. I think it's kind of obvious. You're going to play this card in multiple copies. And not only that, you're probably going to play this card alongside K9s. It's just the best fit for it. You also have another monster that's level 5 that is for higher. So, honestly, unless they hit K9s before this release, I think K9s is going to be the best version of this deck, even better than the Sprite and Runic versions. Let's talk about the last card. This is Heal Shipwright for higher. So it's fairly generic, monster with different type, very same as Donner. This card reads, upon link summon, you can set one spell trap for higher, or Pandora the Flying Fortress. This one. From your deck. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except monsters for higher. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, and if you do, special summon one monster for higher from your hand. Then if your opponent controls a monster with the highest attack on the field, even if tied, you can special summon a second such monster. You can only use each effect of Kill Shipwright for higher once per turn. This card is incredible. Another really good card. The luck for higher does not matter with this card because it's for the rest of the turn. So you can just do whatever plays you want to do for higher and then summon this card. If your opponent Nibiru's you, and you have like that token on the field, all you need is just a second monster, and you can just summon this as a second wind after your opponent Nibiru's. Like, and this can search this, which can search like any other Gear for Higher monsters, or this can search this, or this, or this, and just keep extending with your monsters. The graveyard effect of this card is also incredible. This just makes it so you can interrupt your opponent with monsters for higher. Also, this effect to summon your monsters for higher does not lock you. From what I've seen here. And like, if you have this alongside Rex in your graveyard, that's just 3 monsters for free you get to summon to your opponent's side of the field. And Rex can just summon any monster for higher from your graveyard. He's gonna even summon back Fogo. So let's say, for example, your opponent just got rid of your entire board. What is stopping you from going Rex, going Keel into 2 monsters, into Rex, into Fogo, and then use one of the monsters for higher, like for example Tompa and Recon, pop a card, and then Fogo draw 3 cards. Like, you can do all of that on your opponent's turn. And this is off-field interruptions. Off-field interruptions are really strong in this game. Just look at Malice. I don't need to explain what happened with Malice, like in the past couple of formats. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I think this archetype is incredible. I think Burst Protocol gave everything this deck needs. I don't know if this deck will be like at the level of Sky Striker at the peak of stardom, but there's a world where you can just play all these engines alongside for higher, like even Fiendsmith, and yes, even Yomi. I'm not even kidding. And just have something really strong in this deck. Alright, that's it from me and my yapping. I hope you found this video for higher, for all your learning needs. Until next time, keep practicing and keep dueling for hire.